Hello, my name is Elizabeth Nakiru, the host for the Women in Tax show. Today we have a very special guest who we're going to meet in just a few minutes. Come with me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. My name is Irene Mbabazi Irumba, and I am the Assistant Commissioner Learning and Development. I am a humble person. I love peace and quiet. But again, as a person, I've been in URA for 25 years now, and I've served in several capacities. I entered URA as a revenue assistant, and I'm honestly honored and give glory to God for having been here at senior level. It's something I don't take for granted.
Irene, 25 years in URA. Yes. How did this journey start? First, take us back. When you were young, was it something you had in your mind to be a tax officer, or it is something that caught up on you later in life? What was it like growing up for you?
In Uganda Revenue Authority, I got an opportunity to join. That was in 1998. I was working before for a private restaurant where I was an accountant there. And being in accounting, natural accounting and tax kind of resonate. I hold a Bachelor of Commerce, majoring in accounting. I love figures. I wanted first to be a lawyer, but later I find myself comfortable in figures. So joining then, there was a lot of learning to do. I joined at a time when VAT had just been introduced in Uganda, and people did not know what it was about. So I was eager to learn what it is. How does the trader benefit? How does it impact people's businesses? Because we're transiting from sales tax, then commercial tax levy, to a new tax, unlike what we have today, whereby we have misinterpretations of a new tax. So it gave me an opportunity to approach people, appreciate them, their business. And I can say the journey has been a humbling one, whereby once you get to know where the direction of the organization is going, it is always good to align as such. For example, at that time, it was introducing a new tax. At that time, it was coming from enforcement kind of to service. And that gave me an opportunity to really reach out as much as possible. But also, most importantly, as a young officer, I had to learn from my leaders. I had to see what they're doing, especially those that were in charge at the time, especially ladies. I am a ladies person. I look at them, I see what they do. I try to do what they do, especially if it's in the positive direction. But also reach out, learn. Be humble enough to say, I do not know that. And then you learn it. Or where it is good, give appreciation for that part. That, I think this was good, boss. You can continue doing this. Or if we can do it better this way, I love change. I love new things. What can we do better? How do we make it different? Yeah.
No wonder you're in learning and development. Like, you're always looking at something to develop, something to grow with. But I think you said that you had wanted to be a lawyer, then you became an accountant. What was the dream when you were growing up for you?
I think just like a lawyer, it's giving an opportunity to a person. Why I think I shifted from lawyer was, I used to see many criminals get off the hook, and I'm like, these lawyers are not supporting the good cause. But later I realized that everyone has an opportunity. Whether they are in wrong or right, there's something to pick from them. And I also learned that you cannot condemn a person before they are deemed guilty. So that I learned later in life. So I thought that in tax is hard. It's a very hard product to sell. But we don't have to make it as hard once we are implementing it, because its nature is hard. So we want to make it as simple as possible. We want to make it appreciated as possible. If you look at the countries that have developed, it's tax. And actually much higher tax than we pay in Africa. But the thing is, how do we implement it? How do we get our people on board? How do we show them the benefits of what they are doing? How do we even make them part of the development of their country? So I think URA gives that opportunity to reach out to as many people in many sectors, all people of all walks of life, the learned, the unlearned, the informal, the formal. So URA is that home, I can say, that makes you reach out to people, makes you want to support people, but also in the process, you learn and you grow as a person.
So speaking about tax being a hard thing, you've been in it, I think you have a grasp of it, and at this level that you're almost at the top of the food chain, what has been your aha moment? You felt like, okay, I think now I get where I'm at and this is my career going forward.
Wow. That aha moment came at a time, I was officer then.
Okay.
I think I'd worked for about 5 years and I was doing a role of audit officer, and I got a job opportunity. I got a request actually. I got a job offer from one of the audit firms. And it was that moment that I sat down and I think I did a self-reflection.
Okay.
I said, okay, I have a job offer that possibly gives you a bit more than what you have currently.
Okay.
But I was a young girl then. I was a young mother, just been married then, and the children were young. So I looked at my opportunities and I thought, what do I want in life?
Okay.
Is it to earn more or is it to make an impact? So I chose to make an impact because I looked at URA then as a platform that gives you reach to many people. As an auditor, I learned how many sectors of businesses work. As an auditor, I realized that audit is not just an examination, it's a service you give to a client. You examine their accounts, you show them where it's wrong, you advise them to make it better, and then you grow voluntary compliance. And then you learn business sectors, you learn the provisions of the law. So it was that area that gave me a really room to appreciate much more, which I think I wouldn't get possibly in the tax audit, in the audit firm. But also, I had done collections, I had done refunds, I had written permits. Those days we do driving permits, we write them. We'd just write licenses. I mean, I've done it really. Wow. I've collected, I've refunded, I've audited. I've had that in there. But every item there made me realize that even in URA, in our cross functions, we support each other. Sure. I mean, like public corporate affairs, you give us a face, you give us, you are our mouthpiece out there. So once we support you with information, you are going to do a very good job. If I'm in domestic taxes, for example, how do I relate with customs? Because if I'm going to look at a refund, we're going to look at the assessment made at the border. I'm going to look at what was brought in, how does it turn in terms of turnover, and then give a client support. If you're doing collection, is it the right tax? Does the taxpayer know what it is they're going to pay? How are they even going to pay? Because you give them options. So the different functions empowered me to see how, however different we are, whatever departments we work in, we are all meant to work together for the good of that client out there who is going to give us their revenue. You must give them a reason as to why they should pay. And if you're going to really be the conduit of payment, then you better be a support and not an inconvenience. So that aha moment is when I said, no, I think there's bigger in URA than just earning a salary. And besides, URA gives many benefits. It's something that I think we don't take for granted because it's there. But URA gives you maternity leave. Yes. I know there are so many firms out there, private, that do not give you as much maternity leave that URA gives you. URA will look after your medical bills. You go to hospital and you walk out with your bag and the baby. It's not everywhere. URA will give you an opportunity to learn, to train. I know of many institutions where you do what you do, how the best way you know how. But URA will give you an opportunity to train you, to equip you. They'll give you platforms to share. I think I looked at that and I said, no. I think in life it's more than just earning a salary. It's beyond that. It's being who you want to be, how you impact other than what it is that you actually are.
That's actually profound. I like that you're into having an impact rather than making money, making a life outside of everything else. I love the impact bit of it. So away from work, you mentioned that the kids were young, you're married. What is it like for you being a mother who is also working?
It's quite challenging, I must say.
Okay.
And for a woman and balancing it up, it is challenging. I cannot say it's nothing. In fact, I look out for young mothers because I know the time you're having a baby, it's very stressful emotionally. And then our work, the kind of work we do, is also physically demanding. So as a mother, you need one to create a very conducive environment. If it's at home, how do you relate with your spouse? Because it's going to be a very big pillar in supporting you. If it's your family, because they give you a lot of emotional support that you need. Say if the baby is sick, somebody can take them to the clinic for for you, or if you cannot come in at work, you have to have a very supportive boss. But that means that you're going to give your every effort at work. Okay. So that for your boss to support you, they must feel that you support them. So you must give your best at that point of time in work, such that should you request for a day off, you have to attend to a sick child. It's like reciprocal. So you must create that environment, both at work and at home. But also you have to have your priorities right. I have seen mothers juggle. They're working, they have a baby, they're doing some postgraduate of sorts. You may not get all of them. I think you need to understand that what can I do now that is important that I have no opportunity later to do? For me, it was career drop or stop. Why? Because I knew you can never have a child's childhood again. Those children are young. Their first 5 years of forming are very important. So I had to stop my career then. I had to just do work and the baby. And now that they are grown, I can go back and read as many programs as I can because they're now big. So as a mother, you must prioritize what comes first, what can you do later, and again, balance the support you get at home with your family, but also at work with your colleagues and your boss.
Wow.
Yeah.
What drives you as a mother? You mentioned somewhere that you had to take off time, take care of babies, and then come back. Someone cannot believe it. How did you do it? What drives you?
Like I said in the beginning, it's impact, but also upbringing.
Okay.
I lived in an environment or brought up by God-fearing parents, or can I say grandparents to be exact, because I had my mother working, my father working, career diplomat, but I had to go from home and then go have holidays with my grandparents.
Yes.
And they were very focused people. They did not have, as in the physical things of life, but they had values, they had focus, and believed in hard work. And that, I think, rubbed on in me, what do I want in life at an early age? I needed to decide that where do I want to be? And if I decide this is where I want to be, how do I get there? So that means focus, early in life, focus. Once you focus, then you're going to find ways to get to where you want to be. I also learned that it pays to be loyal. It pays to be a person of integrity, a person of your word, so that people trust you. Otherwise, my grandparents did not have much, did not have physical things, but they taught us the most critical things of life. Number one, that you don't have to be valued by what you have. It's by who you are. So even in career, what value do you add to your colleagues? What kind of friends will you make? Who are you going to reach out for help? And if you're going to do that in life, that means you have to appreciate the friends that add value to you. You're going to also separate those that either add negative influence or a subtraction, and then have the confidence to say, well, that relationship will not go forward. When it comes to, again, marriage, that's a very sacred institution because it's mutual respect. It's appreciating each other, understanding one another, and building each other as you grow. There are challenges that will come along the way. Definitely, I cannot say it's a smooth walk, but how do you go over the challenges? And the life has also taught me that challenges actually are a stepping stone to the next level. So we shouldn't avoid them. When they come, the question is why? Why is it happening? What went wrong? What was my part in it? Because there's sometimes looking at a challenge and you blame the other person. But it takes two to tango. So what was my part in it? And if I went wrong, you have to have the muscle to say, I'm sorry, this went wrong, but I'm willing to make it better. And so, yes, you'll have to do a lot of time to yourself. Like I said, I'm a private person. So I have a lot of those reflective moments where I sit, okay, what did I do this time? Did I impact? Oh, I think I didn't. What could I do different? How do I make myself better? So you have to strive to be a better you every day. And then not just you, how about the people around you? Are you the only one flourishing? I think that would be a lonely walk. It's about others. How do you also help others up? If you know something, how do you help others know it the way you know it, if not better than you? How do you appreciate talent around you? How do you impact people? Because even me as Irene, I was handheld. Somebody gave me an opportunity to learn. Somebody identified that I could do something different. So I think I need to give it back to hold another young person another young career lady. Support them in their challenges they are going through, encourage them through, be with them. And later, when you have many of you happy, it's better than being happy alone in one room. So I think that's my engine. Because even at work, outside work, I belong to church, I'm a head of laity, and I reach out for the disadvantaged people. Because they don't have an opportunity, we all don't choose where we are. So the question is, how do you help them? You may not do so much for them, but how do you give them their value? How do you tell them, look, there's a better tomorrow? You can use even what you have. It's pancakes you're selling, fine, let's encourage you to do it. And then invest more, and then, learn to relate people. They'll give you credit here, pay back on time. And that will help another lady come up, another lady pay child's fees, another person keep their marriage, another person go over a challenge. So that's what drives me, seeing people happy, seeing people better, and also knowing that even if I leave today, God called me, there's somebody who can say, I think I owe it to you to be where I am today.
Speaking of challenges, what challenges have you faced in an industry that is branded a man's world? Some people say taxation, women, maybe you're emotional or you can't handle, but you are a lady who have thrived in it. What challenges have been there?
Challenges in a taxation, there are many, quite many. Yes, it's a man's world, that's true. Even in business, it's a man's world, whereby you go meet your clients, and yet in a room you are a meeting of 8, you're just 2 ladies, if not alone, and then you are supposed to take charge and take them through. It's about building confidence, knowing who you are. Again, like I said, identify your strengths and leverage them. So while you're in that man's space, number 1, try to learn as much, because for that man or that environment to accept you, they must see the value they get from you. So learn. I try to learn. I try to improve myself so that when you speak with authority. When you engaging, they actually see the value you're bringing to the table. So as a woman, you must endeavor to not focus on the bias, but see what you can do to address the bias. That's number 1. Number 2, people have the perception that ladies want to be pampered, they want to be, like you say, emotionally. But I've also learned over time that the two are different. When you're emotional, I think there's a time for being emotional and a time for facing the facts that they are. I mean, however much you feel, those are the facts and you're not going to change them. So you need to separate yourself from the environment at that point in time. But also the weak part is have it in you and know that I am who God made me to be. I will stand. These are my values. This is what I'm going to stand for. At times, yes, you pay the price for standing for what it is you are. But that doesn't kill you. In any case, later in life, the Lord will show you that, you may have stood, but it was the right thing to stand for. So, as a woman, I say, do not stand to be weak and feel sorry for. Don't even aim at it for somebody to tell you, you see it because I'm a woman. No. Stand firm, develop your value, develop your strengths. Any weak areas, any feedback, your part is to address it. Face it and address it. Nice. Do not put it on the side and say, well, just because I'm a woman.
That is beautiful. I mean, I know you said you're a private person, but what do you do for fun when you're not at work, when you're not here at the tower? What do you do for fun?
For fun, what do I do for fun? Well, before as a young girl, I used to love dancing. I have music, but from the time I gave my life to Christ, I think I've got new hobbies. I love music. I still love music, but gospel music. I still dance to it, even alone.
What's gospel music?
Gospel music, it really cuts across.
Jesus culture, Maverick City.
Well, anything depends on the mood at the time, really. Is it? Are you celebrating? You dance to the music. Do you want a peace time whereby you want to unload and meditate, and then you get the slow music, but also, again, like you said, private. I sometimes just want to be alone. Just want to be alone, and I go home and I'm just alone, and put on my music. Sometimes even without music, just meditate. Just be there. They call it putting your head down, letting your head down, and then just have that peace for you. And then after some time, I'm with friends, going out with them. But I love reading as well. I love reading articles, especially short articles. I love reading. I love listening to documentaries. I love anything that really gives me a better view of things, especially positive things, because I know that we are a result of what we feed our mind. Yeah, so that's what I do in my private life.
Nice.
Yes.
So what has been your biggest highlight in your career? Like something happened and you're like, yes, this is it. That highlight, it could be many, but you could give us like one or two highlights of your career.
My first early highlight, I can say, was when I was supervisor. Strange.
Nice.
Because I'd been officer for some time. So when I was supervisor after 12 years, I was like, wow, finally I'm part of management. And to me, that gave me, when I told somebody, they were like, supervisor, I said yes, because right now you're going to lead a team. You're going to be responsible for their output, their welfare, their results. There's much more than just you and giving your report. And why is because I would hear in corridors or when you're with colleagues and like, if management could do this, if management could do that. And I'm like, yeah, as supervisor, I am management. So it's my job to pick the issues, address them where I can, and where I can't, escalate them or engage the other people, the other leaders even above me. So it was, for me, a good start of this is management. And I thank God that actually I was supervisor for 6 months before I went to manager. So I love the responsibility part, whereby you now have a team to lead, but also you're responsible for their growth, you're responsible for their results and performance, you're responsible for their environment to ensure that they are in a good working environment. So that was one of the highlights. The other one was when we had just finished our postgraduate diploma in tax administration, just like we did ITRAT. To me, it was also another highlight, because once we finished that, I was deployed in a section that time called quality assurance. Now, quality assurance meant that you're going to review people's work, you're going to review their quality of the audits, you're going to review the quality of their refunds. Basically, you're going to look at work, even sometimes of your seniors. And it's going to be brought to your table to see whether processes were followed, the law was properly applied, the procedures are in place. So it gave me that realization that you can do this. I can actually do this. And it was quite encouraging and engaging, because once you engage and you see a challenge, you're definitely going to talk to your leader that you see, the audit is here, it's done, but these were missed out. The following processes were not clearly applied. Maybe you can get more research or do more engagements with policy or legal team to see how this interpretation is, or you can spearhead an engagement in the change in the law. Because I realized at that time that laws are not by leaders, they are by the users who are the officers. That as an officer, you are more privy to how a law applies or how it impacts the masses than a leader who maybe presented its passing in parliament. So I got that strength then, because even then I was still officer, yes, but it gave me the courage to say, no, look at these things. It's you to change it. If a law has a challenge, it's us to actually present it to the leaders that it needs a change. Or if processes are redundant, it's us again to tell the leaders that, look, these processes I think are not adding value, or they do not speak to today. They applied then, but they cannot apply now. Or if it's a new business that has come in place and there's no law that actually addresses it. So it's that point in time I was like, yeah, I have no title, but there's much I can change. There's a lot I can do. There's a lot of value I can bring to both my leaders and also the colleagues that I work with. So those are the highlights I can say, where you have that influence, you have that input to make and actually walk that journey, and do not fear because you're a junior and you're talking to a senior, or fear the implication. It's not that when you present it will be passed. Sometimes they may be coming back to you. The question is, maybe you didn't package it well, or maybe you didn't do enough research, or you needed to do more work on it. So you go back, do your work very well, perfect it, and present it again.
Okay, that's really nice and in-depth. Irene, you've shared with us quite an in-depth of your tax knowledge, how you've come up the ladder in your career, what it's like to juggle motherhood and work. So we'd just like to know, a lady could be watching this show and they are timid, they're probably scared, they don't know where to start from. Or it could be a lady who's in a career but they're stuck. Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone watching? It could even be a man, but now that we're talking about ladies, what advice would you give them, given your experience and the fact that you've gone through this journey?
Okay. Yes. Like I must say, from one of the lady leaders I look to, you acknowledge that fear is in everyone. Yes. Everyone, even the heads of states and the big names we know, fear appears in everyone. But the trick is to overcome that fear. Yes. Knowing that it's not only you, and that even those who you look to who are big actually started where you are. So it's looking yourself in the mirror and say, you can do this. Or you got to stand before an audience and then you're scared, you don't know what to say or what to expect. Take a deep breath.
Or you freeze.
Take a deep breath and say, well, start again. Tell yourself to start again. Sometimes failure makes us timid. Yes. Or failure brands, or when you fail, you brand yourself a failure even before anyone brands you a failure. Yeah. But we must learn that failure is one of those things that actually success comes from. We've learned of scientists who failed so many times on their thousandth time. They got it. So failure should not be a defining moment. Yeah. Or if something goes wrong. No. That should not be a defining moment. Yeah. It's good, like I said, to take time. Think through, what is it that you want? Because we all have different dreams. We all have different dreams. What is it that you want in life? Is it to party? Then how are you going to ensure that you do your work while you party? If it is about relating with people, what are you doing about it? To join maybe social networks or other network connections that actually make you meet people. But also, it's about identifying who you think your role model is. Okay. And once you do that, look at what they do. You can even reach out to them. Okay. If you fear them, it's okay. Start from watching them and then see what they do. The leaders I've learned from, I've seen all my leaders, by the way, they are humble. Meaning that even when you are at the top of the ladder, humility is key. They are very humble. Number two, they strive to learn and be better. So meaning if you're going to be a lady and you want to grow in that career, what are you doing to improve yourself? Exactly. What are you doing to make you better tomorrow? Then also reach out. Help more. Volunteer more. Normally in meetings or in gatherings where they say, okay, somebody, can you please give us your experience? People may fear to speak. Be the one to volunteer to speak and share. And whatever comes out of it, be ready for it. Or if it's a project at work, be a volunteer to that. Then I also would say today as a young team, be ready to work without reward. Because we've always equated our effort to a reward. Yes. But I want to tell you that most of the things in life are free. Okay. If you work focusing on a reward and that reward never comes, you'll be very, very discouraged. Or you'll have that negative
You'll
thing.
Be frustrated.
Yes. For example, even at work, let me give an example of work.
Yes.
There's a project to do. It has deadlines. Yes. And possibly not covered as much. Give it extra time. Now, that extra time may not convert to allowance, but the satisfaction of concluding that project, the satisfaction of the success of that project is what gives you peace, and you're like, I did that. I was part of that team that implemented that. True. But the moment you focus on the reward, what will I gain? Who will pay? I think that derails you completely, and that deprives you of that happiness that comes with accomplishment. Yes. So for the young people, let's look for accomplishment. Okay. Because that will speak louder than when you have the monetary reward. If it comes, well and good. If it doesn't, that shouldn't be a deterrent for you.
You still have something to feel good about. Yes,
and look forward to another one. The other one, I would say, let's embrace change. Okay. Change is a constant. Where you are today is definitely not where you will be tomorrow. Yes. And maybe where you are today, you got there in a particular way, may not be exactly the same way that will take you to the next level. So that means that embrace change. If you do not know, it scares you. Change scares everyone. But the question is, look out for the silver lining. Yes. Look out for that opportunity that, okay, fine, you said we're going to do this. It's not been done before. Are you sure we won't fail? It's okay to ask those questions. What are the success factors? What are the percentages we'll actually even get it right? The question is, be open. It's okay to be cautious, but then not over cautious not to start.
Yeah.
So step out and be ready. When the challenges come, address them. Once the failures come, learn from them. It's like going to court. I took the lawyers, and that time when I was still in audit, I would say, if we go to court, we either win or we learn. Because it's not about losing, it's about learning. Either we didn't interpret that law very well, or it's vague and needs to be addressed. Otherwise, it's not losing at all. The client may have won, but you have learned as an authority, I've learned as a person, I've learned in life. So for the career guys, learn and learn and learn. Reach out, volunteer more, focus on accomplishment and not the gratification that comes with that. If the pay comes, well.
So for someone who is stuck in their career, they feel like they've done this over and over again, and probably they're not seeing a next step. Is it something that you'd recommend that they embrace change? I know you mentioned it earlier. Do they have to change themselves? Do they have maybe to change their workplace? I don't know. There's that stagnancy that comes in work sometimes. And given your experience, 25 years, is there anywhere where you felt stuck or redundant or stagnant?
Yes, it happens. And the question is, what do you do when it happens? Thanks for the question, because I think I can relate with about many years. I think I'd worked for 4 years then in the same place that was in what is currently Kampala North. I've done the collection, I did the clients. I mean, I knew them like the back of my hand. So at that point, I was like, I think I've impacted here. Yes. I need something different, either a new challenge or a new role or a new place. Yes. Something that really gives you that your adrenaline to run and then keep thinking. Because when you do the same thing over, the truth is you get bored. What I did, or what I would advise to do, reach out. It's your life. It's your life. Remember, we are here to serve according to the aligned priorities. But there are so many out there where you can apply yourself and they cannot be known to you, or they could be available in another place, but possibly you need to step out. So I would advise you step out. Talk to your leader, your supervisor at that point in time. If your supervisor, your manager, or your leader, and say, well, I think I served this time. I've done this, I've done the other. I think I need to do something different. Yes. And then, because then I was in VAT, yes. I would do the manual, I would do my returns, I file them, record them, know who was paid, who was not paid, send the reminders, visit them. So at some point, all is done. So I said, okay, fine. What does the other team do? They do income tax. What does the other team do? They do non-tax. So they write permits. I learned to write permits. It wasn't in my docket, but I learned to write them. Because I would see people in the corridors lining up to wait for their driving permits. Others are waiting for driving licenses. And all it took was to write them. So I asked, what does it take to do this? That, you just check the details on the license, and then you write them on a sticker. You give a person a sticker to put on their cars. That was the system then. Thank God they're now all automated. But it's about learning what the other person does. It may not be your work. It is, what do you want to learn? So
is it like learning a new skill?
Yeah, okay, new skill, but also help. Because like I told you, what drove me was seeing people crowding up in the corridor. I'm like, what are they doing here? Oh, they're waiting for their teams. What does it take to do a team? Those days were so manual. So today, when you get to that point where you are kind of bored, it's okay to reach out to your leader and say, well, especially if you've done your part and done it really well. Because you do not have a negotiation part if you are failing on your current job. So you must ensure that the one you're doing today, you've done it perfectly and it is well done, and your supervisor is not complaining. It is that level now when you know, I think I've perfected this. But going next, I may go low. So leader, kindly, I hear there's a vacancy here, or I hear they need help in this unit. I think I can do that. I can help in that area. I helped maybe so and so in doing this. And I think I found that I could do that. I could be of value in that area. This one, yes, I'm doing well, but I think I'm getting too convenient or complacent in the job. I can do something different. So reach out, because the leader may not know exactly that. The other one where you feel stuck is you could change. You could go do a course. Do a course that maybe exposes you to the area that you want. But again, reach out, volunteer. Try to find out, what do they do? Maybe you want to cross from one department to another. You should know what they do. Then what can you do to help? So that even as you're presenting your case of change, you know what it is you're going to do. You're not just changing for the sake of changing. But the bottom line is, first perfect what you're doing now. Otherwise, telling somebody you're bored and you're clearly not meeting, I mean, they will say, well, you're looking for an excuse to go away. So I think the first step is perfect what you're doing now. Then reach out for other areas, try and be sure that you actually can add value to them, because you may go and be a negative value. And so you have to ensure that you actually, indeed, your skills, your dispensation are ready enough to really support that role, and then reach out. But reach out. Do not sit there and say, well, mine is really, I'm done for. No. Reach out. Talk to somebody. Talk to your leader. Talk to the people around. What options could you have? Because even when you get to them, you have to give them options. I'm looking at this area and this area and this area. My credentials are such and such and such. I could give you good value. Yeah. And then you present your case.
When you're working with the team, I'm sure there are challenges that you face. How have you been able to handle them as a manager or as a team lead? How have you handled challenges that come with managing a team of people, especially if they are mixed maybe in ages or in priorities, and how do you handle them?
Well, team dynamics.
Yes.
Team dynamics. Of course, every team has different people, and every team, those people are individuals, and they're unique in any way. There'll be some early adapters who will go with you all the way. There'll be some who sit and look and say, what do you have to bring? There are others who will outrightly say, you know what? I think it may or not work. So you should expect anything.
Yes.
So in that team, one, like I said before, I took too long as a technical person, and I love doing what I did because it was in your domain. I mean, you determine how you do it, you determine when you finish it. But when you become a leader, now it's not about you working, it's about getting that team to work. Now, sometimes the trap we fall into, you continue working. And want to do it yourself.
But you have a
and
team.
did you have a team? Now, what that does is it disorients them, because after all, boss is doing everything. So people will come in and go out and, I mean, you're doing it anyway. And it will break you in the process, because what that does, you're going to compile so many things undone because you want to do them, or you want to be sure that they're really done. And then the others won't learn. Because remember, as a leader, you must grow as many leaders after you. So what that does is identify the good people, the adapters, identify them. And once you do, encourage them. I mean, keep them on your fingertips. Delegate as much as possible, empower them, equip them, train them, so that they're as good as you. Actually aim for them to be better than you. The other trap of falling in leadership or team building, being scared of people's potential. I mean, Elizabeth is so good. And you're like, won't she? No. Now, that should be a plus, because if Elizabeth is so good, that means you're going to align her well to replicate you and train her, even if it means going higher than you. That's okay. We all have our destinies. I told you I'm God-fearing.
Yes,
the Lord has a plan for everyone. So if Elizabeth is going to be Commissioner General, I'll say, Madam, what is it that we're going to do today? It's not about who you are or about how young you are or how it's about you're the leader now. So in the team dynamics, you must appreciate talent when you see it. And the question now is, how do you nurture it? Or even how do you utilize it? Because if you see a person with talent, don't sit them down. Ensure that you actually tap into that. There are those, yes, who will be high flyers, the ones who would scare a leader. The question is, then challenge them. Give them challenging tasks. I mean, there are challenges everywhere, in every role, in every team. So give them those things which need thinking, and these guys will run for you, by the way. They will, because it's new, it's uncharted water. They will run. They have the energy to run. So tap into that. Then there will be the slow ones. And they are sitting and watching, waiting to see what will happen. Again, you need them. You need them because they may be cautious and they are telling you, Irene, I think either that speed is so much or too high, we may crash, or I think you're missing out on the essentials. So again, get them on board and say, okay, fine, guys, what's going on? I mean, you're not moving. And then you hear from them. Such people won't even talk. They'll just sit at the fence. Reach out.
You're telling us about how you've managed to juggle motherhood, career, and being a wife, or how you juggled marriage alongside these two other things.
I think in life, what you do, enjoy what you do.
Yes.
enjoy what you do. If it's motherhood, please enjoy it. If it's your job, enjoy it. If it's school, again, enjoy it. Why? When you enjoy, it comes with that satisfaction, that personal satisfaction. Because you got into marriage because you love the person you are marrying and you have babies. They're a result of that love. And they deserve to have you and your time. I had a working mother, a working father, like I said, and indeed they were very busy. I purposed that I'm going to have time for my children because I missed it when I was a kid. I agreed, how 5 years for each one of them, and then they'll be good to go. So, but while you're doing that, enjoy it. Enjoy the motherhood, the late nights, the feeding, the crying. It's what comes with it. And besides, look at others who do not have the privilege you have. Then if it comes to work, again, don't look at it as an interruption. People are looking for jobs out there. And God has given you an opportunity to. So again, enjoy it. Have gratitude and say, I'm going to give the best in my job.
Yes.
If I have challenges this way, leader, I have to engage with you and to see how do we make the best of this. If maybe I had some time off during the week for immunization and all those baby blues, maybe I'll give a Saturday to accomplish what. Maybe I'll work at home and complete that report and give you results. I need to make time.
Yes.
I need to make time so that you do not see one affecting the other. Yes, but again, there are times when you have to say, no, this is now my time. My time. I know there's work. Ensure you get it to another level, or your team leader or your team mate, you can agree and say, well, I'm going to work up to this time, or I'm going to do up to this level, and then I'm counting on you to take up the rest of the assignment. We can check each other to see that we accomplish it. So it's about prioritizing, but enjoy doing it. Yes.
Thank you so much. As we come to a close, how would you describe Irene in 3 words?
I'll go back to what the Lord gave me when I gave myself to Him. 3 things. Number 1, peace. I love to be peaceable at all times. At all times, if there's any disruption, I'm equally perturbed. I need to know why. Why is Elizabeth out of her peace? Why? Maybe I annoyed her. Maybe there's something I inadvertently said that ticked her off. I'll reach out and basically find out why, because I want to nurture that relationship. My other description, I think I have learned to be grateful and contented. Well, some people say contentment is a certain kind of stalemate, but I believe that you have to be grateful. You have to be grateful for first far you've come. You have to be grateful for what you've been able to accomplish.
Yes.
Grateful for the opportunities that come before you. Grateful that actually you even have been called to serve. For some people, even that calling is like...
Never comes.
It never comes. And when it comes, you complain. Why me? Is it have to me to be sent here or there? Yes, the Lord chose you. Now, take it as an opportunity to grow. Thirdly, is hope. There's nothing as being in life as hopeless. Hopeless means you have you've lost it all. So have hope, because whatever situation you have will end. Whatever challenge that is before you will surely be overcome. So I focus on where is my silver lining. How do I learn? I don't believe in wasting my pain. If I go through a painful situation, I must pick my lessons. I must pick my lessons and pick them well and say, okay, that was not nice. What could I do different? Or this did this. So that means another person who is going through that, maybe you're doing it yourself. So now you will learn to hold another person who is going through a similar circumstance, or avoid the circumstance at all. So 3 things for me is being peaceful, contentment, and hopeful.
Wow. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us. Personally, I've learned a lot. I feel like now I can be a better mom, I can be a better career woman. It's nice to see ladies like you who have made it. And just a quick last one. You said that you looked up to some mentors. Would you like to mention them?
Well, one of my best mentors is my mother. My mother, she teaches me a lot in many times. She doesn't sit you down to teach you, but she'll give you certain questions that you go back and think and say, oh yeah. So my mother is one of my mentors. The other one, we had I had my leaders, by them my several leaders along the chain. There's one gentleman particularly, he was called Martin Mohanj,
Yes.
and he's now with the Investment Authority. He was tough. He would, it was results. But in demanding the results, he would teach you along the way. He taught me to come with a pen and a book. And when a leader calls you, they're not calling you for chit-chatting. There must be something which you need to take note of. He also taught me how to focus on the issues. I mean, there could be noise around it. So-and-so said this, or this one feels that way. It's the issues.
Yes.
At the end of the day, focus on those issues. So those are the kind of the leaders. The other leader I looked at was Alain Kajina. Alain and currently Mr. Msinguzi. Mr. Msinguzi is a very humble man. I look at how he carries himself. Before his leaders, you notice how he greets. And for a leader, for me, that ticks it off for a leader, really. Being humble. Being humble means now you're ready to be approached. Alain also was a very humble leader, and she would reach out to see what's going on, why is it going on that way, what didn't go well, and you're easy to relate with them. But I've tried to reach out to, especially my leaders, whatever leader God gives you. I believe God chooses leaders.
Yes.
So that leader is with you for a reason, even when they're a bad leader. Why? Because you're going to learn. You're going to learn so much from them. And you reach out, and then you refine yourself. You refine yourself. Not everyone is born bad.
Sure.
But sometimes it's about relation, like you have learned. They may be good at their work, but possibly it's the relation and they may not know how. Like I've told you, you grow through the ladders through your technical competence, but then it's about leadership as you go on the ladders. So sometimes they may be good leaders or good in their technical work, but now the relationship may not be exactly the way you'd want it to. So we brand them bad leaders, but ideally it's about the relationship.
Yes.
So those are some of my.
Thank you so much. Any last words as we wind up?
I want to thank Public Corporate Affairs for this opportunity to share my ideas. Again, I don't take it for granted to have selected me to be on this show. I really take it as an honor, and to encourage the young people out there. The future is yours.
Yes.
That future is entirely yours. God has given it in your palms. It's what you do with what you have been given.
Yes.
Don't look at what you do not have. What can you do with what you have with you? And then use it to make yourself better, but also another person better. Don't look at what you have with you. Look at what you have in you, because that is the most valuable thing that you will either go with or you give somebody else. Otherwise, the physical things disappear.
Yes.
They are here tomorrow. They are here today, they won't be here tomorrow. But what is in Elizabeth is what I'll remember her for, is what I'll tell another person about. So let's be the best of who we can be and impact the other in the most positive way that we can.
Thank you so much. You heard it, like Irene said, let's be the best that we can be. This has been the Women in Tax Show. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, bye.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.